My name is Joshua Wayne Hunley, and I'm the owner of Jwayne Productions. Jwayne Productions is a video branding company, and we focus in on high quality and engaging visual content, and that ranges anything from commercials, branded content, training courses, marketing campaigns, anything that has to do with visual. Jwayne Productions is there. From a very young age, I kind of always had a camera in my hand. You know, I was always just filming just random things, my friends hanging out, me kind of doing weird things, you know what kids do. But I was always fascinated by watching, you know, the things that I would film, whether that be just me lip singing to a song or making these little mockumentaries, documentaries. And it was always really rewarding being able to see the final product, you know, whenever we do all the post-production and the editing. And for somebody to sit there and watch it and say, wow, Josh, you made that? It's like, yeah, I did. You know, I never really thought that I would be in this type of industry. I really didn't have a plan. Growing up, I was always ADHD minded. So my brain would just go like this way and it would go that way and it would just kind of go every which way. And it got me in trouble a lot as a kid. But as I got older and I started to focus some of that energy, I was able to find true value in video. And now I use that to my advantage. I'm able to take a concept, take a visual, and just run with it. I think the thing that inspired me most to create Jwayne Productions was just the drive to make good content. You know, I was that video guy. I was the guy that said, hey, he's got a really good camera. He knows how to do editing. Ask him and he'll probably do it. Yeah, I did. But it's still a nice little to-go. Is it HD? It is!
It is HD.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You know, I was very cocky. I was very arrogant. I thought I knew better because everybody said that, oh, he makes some really good videos. But, you know, I really realized that I didn't really know what I was doing. And I didn't find that out until a couple of years later.
So I am testing this shotgun mic. I have no idea how well it is. I don't even know if it's any good. But one thing for sure, I'm gonna find out.
When I graduated, I started working with my parents at a local advertisement firm. There, I learned graphics design, I learned how to interact with businesses, and I learned how to find out what businesses needed, what they were looking for, and what they were struggling with. I picked up my camera equipment and I pursued my dream because I knew that I wanted to be a videographer. I knew that this was what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And I didn't want to be told how to do it. I wanted to see my art my way, and I wanted to help businesses. I wanted to help people make good content. You know, and that's kind of how Jwayne Productions started. I would say my first real job was probably with this, basically like a real estate company. And what they did is they did tours and website development for apartment complexes. They found me on Craigslist. I was promoting myself as a professional videographer, and you should have seen my business card. It was horrible. I was charging them $175 for an 8-hour day. You know, all I had was the camera. I didn't have any like lights. I had a tripod that I bought from Walmart. So nothing really professional about me at all, but they took a chance on me. And I went to go film one of these apartment complexes. Took me about 8 hours to film everything, and it was a long day, but here I am, like 18, 19 years old, and $175 is a lot of money. I was able to take my girlfriend out and, you know, have a good time, who's now my wife, by the way. You know, at the end of the day, when I submitted my footage, I was really proud of it. And I couldn't wait to see the email and say, you know, oh my gosh, Josh, this is amazing. We want to book you for this next job and this next job and this next job. And I was really waiting for that email. The email read, I thought we hired a professional. And then they went down this just long list of everything that I did wrong. It was my first eye-opener. I realized very quickly how I knew nothing at that point. So they still took a chance on me. I went back and filmed everything. I corrected everything. I went out and basically spent all of my money on a brand new tripod, on a light kit, and I went down that checklist one by one and it took me another 8 to 10 hours to reshoot this entire apartment complexes. Flash forward a couple of months, and one of my friends asked me, they said, "Hey Josh, can you film weddings?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, I can film a wedding." So I met with a couple, charged them $300, and used all $300 of that to invest into some sound equipment so that I could actually hear what they were saying at the altar.
By definition, $200 is really cheap. So I'm probably going to be over here, and I wish I had another one of those cameras, because I just don't want to get that nasty piss.
And I had never been to a wedding before that, just FYI. So thank y'all for taking a chance on me, because that kind of propelled my entire career. That was the day that I decided to go into the wedding industry. So my first wedding, I only charged $300, and I realized how much work was really involved in weddings. So I was like, all right, you know what? I'm going to charge even more. I'm going to charge $700. And that was still extremely undervalued. And I was one of the first videographers to incorporate DSLR video into the wedding industry, at least on my end of town in Houston, Texas. So we had this massive shift of videographers coming from a documentary style wedding to a more cinematic story. And I was able to make a career out of it.
This is your day, and it will only happen once. So shouldn't you be able to go back when you're both 50 and remember the vows you took and just how special today was?
My first year in weddings, I probably did maybe 3 or 4 weddings. And then the next year, that doubled to 4 to 8. And then I decided, you know what, I should probably start building a website and investing in better equipment. That was an interesting time. So I did weddings from 2011 up until about 2022. And in that time period, I learned a lot. I learned how to be quick. I learned how to be efficient. I learned what is important and what's not important. It's interesting because, you know, you also learn how to talk to people. You learn how to kind of take these punches and just go with the flow. I think that anybody that hasn't started or at least done a couple of weddings in the video or photo industry should, because it really does teach you to be humble. It teaches you to be creative whenever certain creatives aren't there. And if you've ever been to a wedding, you know, you have these beautiful, extravagant weddings. You have these, you know, $1,000 weddings, these multi-$1,000 weddings that they spend on food, decor, entertainment, venue, dress, and all these other things. But what happens whenever you go to a wedding and it's in an event hall and there's no decor, there's no speeches, they didn't want to do photos or videos after the ceremony? How do you make something like that creative? And it really forces you to kind of think on your feet. You have to be quick, you have to be understanding, and you have to find the story that's there and tell it, because that's what you're there for. So I did that for a long time. We got to a point where, you know, we were doing probably about 30 to 45 weddings a year. You know, and I was able to build my business around it. Jwayne Productions was a wedding and event videography business. Now, we have always done corporate branding on the side, but it's never what we really focused on. We never really pushed real hard into it because we were making good money in the wedding industry. You know, we came in at a really good time and we were just dominating the market on our side. As time went on, you know, we have all these other, you know, franchises and national companies coming back to our market or coming into our market, and they just started desaturating everything. So all of these really good freelancers, all of these really good artists, they started going to work for these national companies, these big brand companies that were, you know, charging $1,500 for a wedding, promising photo and video, and we just couldn't compete with it. But, you know, we were still able to survive. We were still able to make things work. We were charging about $3,500 per wedding, minimum, up to $8,000 per wedding. So, you know, we were still making really good money. But what really did it in for us was COVID. I cannot stress this enough when I say people don't understand how hard COVID impacted the wedding industry. The way the wedding industry works is a bride or a couple will book you 1 year to 2 years to sometimes even 3 years in advance, and they'll already pay you at this time. So by the time their wedding comes up, you know, we're already, the way that we make money is either they have to finish paying or we're focusing on the next couple. So when COVID came around, we had already been paid for all of these weddings. So all of the money for us had already come in, but COVID had shut down the nation and all of these weddings had to get pushed back. Now, it's in our contract that there's no cancellations, but what do you do whenever it's a national shutdown? You know, nobody was canceling. Nobody was sticking to their contracts on this. And we didn't want to be the bad guys. We didn't want to be the ones that said, no, we're not going to do that. So what ended up happening is all of these couples, you know, they got pushed back the next year. Well, what happens the next year? They've already paid us for this wedding. So we're not making any money and we're still doing double the work. So we lost all of the income that we had for COVID because the brides that didn't pay us already, they're not going to pay us because they don't know when they're going to get married. And a lot of them canceled because, you know, they just couldn't afford it at that point. And then the following year, you know, we had to satisfy all those couples and those brides and those grooms. And we had to satisfy all those couples. So we weren't able to take on new bookings. So we lost 2 years. I think the final nail in the coffin for Jwayne Productions pulling out of the wedding industry was the rise of content creators. We were competing against these new wave of videographers coming in with iPhones, charging $1,000 or $1,500 for Instagram reels or stories. And so they would have these packages and couples were booking them left and right. And it's not a direction that Jwayne Productions really wanted to go. So we felt that it was time to go ahead and sever our ties with the wedding industry. We finished out the last remaining couples that we had, and we left the wedding industry with almost perfect ratings. So that's a feat to, you know, that's a feat in itself. You go 10 years servicing over 200, 300, 400 weddings, and you still come out with 5 stars on top. That's something to celebrate. So, getting into our corporate career, we had always done commercial branding on the side because I had worked for a marketing firm for a long time. And we did a lot of freelance services, and we still do. I think the thing that a lot of people don't understand is that, you know, when you're doing corporate branding and commercial videography, it's not just showing up and filming whatever. I mean, sometimes it is, but, you know, these business owners, they have a goal. They already see the end, and you're the tool to get them to the end. So if you don't know how to get to the end, if you can't navigate the obstacles that are thrown in front of you, what are you even doing in the industry? So Jwayne Productions really sets the bar here because we're able to take a look at these business owners who have no idea what video content is or how to even begin in video content, and we strategize with them. We have done everything from medical, oil, gas, automotive, pro athletes, chamber of commerce, nonprofits, training videos, marketing sales, social media content, government entities, everything. There isn't a single industry that we haven't filmed in. I think what sets Jwayne Productions apart from other video production companies is we really care about our customers. We want to see our customers grow. We want to see our clients thrive with the videos and visual content that we produce. We don't just produce videos. We sit down with our businesses and we try to understand those businesses entirely. You know, we really don't have an ideal type client. Everybody's our client. Now, I know that's cliche to say, but it's the reality. We're kind of a jack of all trades. I think that's what I love the most about Jwayne Productions and being a videographer is that every single day is a new day. I never know what tomorrow is going to hold. I never know where I'm going to be. I never know who I'm going to get to talk to or who I'm going to get to meet. And I've gotten to go to some amazing places. I got to go to the Virgin Islands for 2 weeks. I've been to Cabo. I've been all over the United States.
It's fucking cold.
I get to go travel and do all these really cool things, and I get to see the insides of businesses that most people don't get to see. I got to go to the UTMB National Lab. I got to film for aerospace technology companies. I got to go film for concerts. I got to meet pro athletes. I got to go inside an oil rig. I got to see firsthand how government funds are helping communities through disaster relief programs. Being a videographer, it's who I was meant to be. My advice to anybody that's looking to try and get into video production is just go out there and film. I'm bad about it myself. Like, I absolutely hate being right here and talking because I'd rather be behind the camera than talk about myself. But just go film. Pick up the camera, pick up your phone, grab a lens, invest. You know, this isn't something that you're going to learn overnight. This is something that's going to take dedication, passion, and time. And it's going to take money. This is not a cheap business to get into. You have to constantly pursue the creativeness in the world. You have to constantly find the stories that are to be told and understand how to tell them. And you can't be afraid to just go out there and film when everybody says, oh, it's never going to be good. You'll never be good enough. Well, you'll be better than you were yesterday. You'll be better than you are today. Go out there and film. I used to take pictures of weeds. I used to take pictures of flowers, grass. I understood my camera, pressed every single button, figured out what this button did, what this lens did. How does this look? What happens whenever this? Take notes on a journal and reference other videos and say, what did you like about that video? Was it the lighting? Was it the composition? Was it the storytelling? So when I say that you need to just film, I mean it. Just go out there and film.
Hey, thanks for watching. This video was filmed and produced by Jwayne Productions. If you want to see more of our work, click the videos on your screen. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. It really helps us grow and to shoot more amazing content. If you need a video for your business or brand, visit us at jwayneproductions.com and fill out a request. I'll see you next time.